Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Sparkle English, where I teach you how to improve your level of English. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about the past simple tense and how to form negative sentences and interrogative sentences or questions in the past simple tense. So let's get started. So when do we use the past simple? We use the past simple when we are talking about something that happened in the past. We use the past simple with finished actions, states, or habits. So we use the present tense to talk about something happening right now, and we use the past tense to talk about something that has already finished. So let's look at some examples. They played tennis last night. This is an example in the affirmative form. They didn't play tennis last night. This is an example in the negative form. And you can see that we don't add ed at the end of the verb in the negative form. Did they play tennis last night? This is an example in the interrogative form, where we are asking a question about something that happened in the past. So in the past simple, negative and interrogative sentences are formed using the auxiliary did. So we have the negative form and we have the subject, I, you, he, she, it, we, or they. And for the negative form in the past simple tense, it is always did not or didn't when you want to make a negative sentence. So for example, I did not or I didn't like. You didn't want. He didn't go. She didn't eat. The main verb always stays the same as the base form of the verb. We do not say liked or wanted. So the negative form is very easy to construct sentences. So let's look at some examples. I didn't go to the cinema yesterday. She didn't want any cake. Rachel didn't study last night. Again, didn't, and the verb always stays the same in the base form. Go, want, study. Now let's look at how we form interrogative sentences or questions. We always start with did. Did I like? Did you want? Did he go? So we are switching the subject and the auxiliary and beginning with the auxiliary did. So let's look at some examples. Did you love him? Did he eat any pasta? Did Mark propose to his girlfriend? So again, in all of these examples, we begin the question with did, and then the subject, and then we have the main verb, which we also do not change. So let's look at some examples of how we can ask questions and give short answers. Did they get married? When a question begins with did, we know the answer will either be yes or no. Did they get married? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Did she move to Mexico? Yes, she did. No, she didn't. Now, what happens when we want to ask questions where we have to give more information? For example, we would start with a question word like when. When did she move to Mexico? If someone asks a question like this, and it begins with a question word, we can't say, yes, she did. They are asking about the time. When did she move to Mexico? So then we would answer in the affirmative form. She moved to Mexico last year. Who did you visit last night? Again, because we use the question word who, we are asking for information about a person. I visited my parents. Now let's look at a conversation example between these two girls. Hey, Did you have a nice date last Saturday? Yes, I did. We went to a nice restaurant in the city. Did you kiss him at the end of the night? No, I didn't. We are taking things slowly. That's a good idea. Did he call you after the date? Yes, he did. We talked on the phone for 2 hours. That's amazing. I am so happy for you. Thank you. Okay, so in this conversation example, we have 3 different questions and they begin with did you have, did you kiss, did he call? Again, we do not change any of these verbs. They stay as the base form. And we have the short answers. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Yes, he did. And we also have some examples in the affirmative form. We went to a nice restaurant in the city. We talked on the phone for 2 hours. In my next video, I'm going to have a lesson on irregular verbs in the past simple, and went is one of these irregular verbs. Okay, so now it's time for us to do our practice quiz. You're going to complete these sentences with the negative or interrogative forms of the verb in brackets in the past simple. So you have to put this verb either in the negative or interrogative form, depending on if it is a sentence or a question. So number 1, Dylan to the cinema last night. So this you have to put in the negative form. 2, you last weekend. 3, I, his phone calls. 4, mom and dad, me go to the party. And finally, number 5, he, his job. Okay, so number 1, Dylan didn't go to the cinema last night. So we have the auxiliary didn't, and then go stays the same as the base form of the verb. Number 2, we have to put it in the interrogative form because it is a question and we have the question mark. Did you work last weekend? Number 3, I didn't answer his phone calls. Again, we have the auxiliary didn't and then answer. The verb stays the same. Mom and dad didn't let me go to the party. And finally, number 5, did he quit his job? Okay, so let's see how many you got correct out of 5. And in the next section, you have to answer, are the following sentences correct? Some are correct and some are incorrect, and you have to correct them. So I am going to read all 5 sentences first. Number 1, she didn't visited her grandparents last week. Number 2, you did go to the supermarket yesterday. Number 3, I didn't went out last night. Number 4, did she read the letter? Number 5, they didn't sleep very well. Okay, so let's correct these together. Number 1 is incorrect. She didn't visited her grandparents last week. For this one, we have to take off the E and the D. We just say she didn't visit. You could also say she visited her grandparents last week, but you cannot say didn't visited. She didn't visit. Number 2 is also incorrect. This is a question, and with the question, we have to start with did. Did you go to the supermarket yesterday? Okay, so we begin with did. Number 3 is a very common mistake that people make all the time. I didn't went out last night. You cannot say I didn't went out. You can only use went in the affirmative form. I went out last night. But we have to change this to go. I didn't go out last night. Because we have didn't, the auxiliary didn't, We do not need to change the verb from the base form. So I didn't go out last night. Number 4, did she read the letter? That's correct as it is. Did she read the letter? And number 5, they didn't sleep very well. That is also correct as it is. Okay, so how many did you get out of 5 for that section? So a total of how many out of 10? Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching this lesson on the past simple in the negative and interrogative form. If you have any questions, make sure to ask me in the comment section below. Thank you once again, and I will see you all in my next lesson.